Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today we'll be talking about the metrics feature for Tridion Docs 15.1 Update 1 release. I'm Andriy Zhidko, product owner for Tridion Docs product line. So today in the agenda we'll do quick recap for Tridion Docs 15.1 bootcamps and blog posts. And we'll be talking a lot about the metrics feature. So we'll cover solution architecture, enablers and configuration, initial data synchronization. We'll explain the use calculation. We'll take a look on the user experience, explain the demo data, and do the actual demo. So as part of Tridion Docs 15.1 launch program, we recorded a set of bootcamps that are covering new features of the product. If you would like to know more, please follow the provided links on the slides that I'll be showing to you. Let's go quickly through all of them. So one is about Tridion Docs Genius, the AI-powered knowledge hub with AI-powered recommendations, hexahops navigation, trustable chat, customizable portal with your branding. I also encourage you to watch a new bootcamp related to Tridion Docs Genius and its recent updates as part of the new release. Another one explains benefits of Drafts Companion, a new feature in Draft Space powered by AI in Tridion Docs 15.1. Create projects, assemble projects, and oversee the projects, the progress of the publication creation process. All this is possible with Publication Hub as part of Organized Space. Additionally, it's also a landing page where writers and reviewers could easily access the assignments they need to work on and quickly navigate to the respective applications. It can be a collective space or publication manager to do their work. There is separate bootcamp and recording for that. As part of Tridion Docs 15.1 release, we announced availability of new RESTful API for Tridion Docs. You can learn about Tridion Docs Open API from dedicated bootcamp recording. In an extensive bootcamp session, we also covered different aspects of new Tridion Docs 15.1 that include architecture, installation, configuration, and usage of new features in a recent product release. In today's presentation, I will be referencing some parts of this bootcamp session that are extensively covered in it. So in case you are missing some information details, you can follow the link and take a look on that. So let's start with the metrics feature. So first let's start with the business need. Why we are doing the feature as well as why in such a scope. As part of the preparation procedure, we did research for metrics feature. We did analyze different sources of information, including community materials for technical documentation, customers' needs via a set of user interviews, and internal knowledge. All is to be able to build the features that suits all our customers. For our initial release of the feature, we targeting top-level management persona, that is head of technical documentation department or Tridion Docs suite owner. That is why we are decided to focus on content reuse metrics, return on investment, and productivity via publishing activity. Couple of use cases that I can mention and that are valid for customers and were mentioned during the user interview. One of them is recently I had a new release of my product. I would like to see how good I was in terms of reuse comparing to the previous one, to understand if I should move, if I should improve or push further in next version. We are using Another example, we are using Tridion Docs for last 5 years. We are close to the review budgeting meeting for technical documentation department for a financial year. So as a head of technical documentation department, I need to provide data showing how much we are saving with Tridion Docs for last year, including our release activities. Another example, I'm lead informational architect. I know that department that does support products A, B, and C is doing good with reuse activities. I would like to show the ROI data to encourage other departments invest more into improving reuse degree for their products. Last but not least, as a lead tech writer, I would like to make sure that all output formats for recent product releases were moved to release state to log and finalize the release activities. So let's first start with solution architecture. And as a first step, let's take a look on high-level architecture of the solution. And I will explain you why it's the most optimal technical solution that we did choose. So it has a couple of main parts. So the content source part. So it's a Tridion Docs content manager with a set of iWrite and iDelete plugins that fire respective events for create update actions or delete action, as well as background tasks. These background tasks, they process events and read extra data from docs, Tridion Docs that is required for reporting models, and push the data using the metrics API. So this is a separate metrics web service with separate metrics storage. Metrics API has a set of endpoints to support data synchronization, as well as get endpoints to read required data to visualize metrics chart in organized space. So the chosen solution allows to support incremental load and initial synchronization, since background task extension point is reused for both cases. It can be used as an example to export data to other external storages where different BI tools can be used. The chosen architecture allows to reduce load on content manager APIs comparing to the other possible alternative technical solution where data could be exported using Tridion Docs API, for example. Additionally, load is reduced by using a background task service that allows to synchronize data in parallel with current user activities on the system. It also reduces load on Tridion Docs content manager database since required data is stored in a separate storage. Now let's dive in a bit deeply into the solution architecture. So there is a new metrics dashboard that is using new private metrics web service that is using new ish metrics database that is holding the metrics data and database job that is doing maintenance. So let's also cover how data is being synchronized and what are the triggers. So the triggers are create and update actions on the items or a delete action on the items. And for initial synchronization, we did introduce a PowerShell script that uses ishremote commandlet that triggers background task to push existing data in batches. There are a set of iWrite and iDelete plugins that fire messages with data and this data is handled by background task. So synchronized metrics is used to push object changes, and cleanup metrics is used to delete objects. So this diagram represents data flow for regular live updates. So each action, update, create, update, or delete action on Docs Content Manager is handled by iWrite and delete plugins that are firing a message with event that is creates a synchronize or cleanup metrics. Background tasks depends what action is triggered with event detail. When background task is executed, it retrieves latest data from content manager database. It calls metrics web API for data synchronization, and the metrics API updates metrics database with incoming data. On the metrics database side, there is a metrics database maintenance job. So that is runs on scheduled interval and does calculate reuse status for document objects and clean up expired items from metrics database. Let's cover enablers and configurations for metrics feature. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, there is a new mandatory metrics database, as well as there is a new metrics database job that is calculates reuse status for document objects and cleanups expired items from metrics storage. There is a new privilege that can be assigned to the user roles, and it determines whether a user is allowed to view a metric and manage metrics in organized space. There is a new metrics web service that is part of the deployment that has private API. Metrics web service is protected, is secured with access management feature by access management service. There is a new service, Tridion Docs Metrics API service, a new roles for that service, a user and administrator. They are used for authorization in a new metrics web service, and new service account metrics API client. It is used by for service-to-service communication when background task is communicated with metrics web service for data synchronization. So there is a new metrics entry in events page, and it shows a logging activity for a metrics feature. And there is a new setting in XML settings area for metrics that is used for used as configuration. This configuration is used for return on investment chart, and you can specify average time per document object and average salary that is used in a calculation process. Let's also take a look on other enablers that are used to drive metrics feature, and first we will start with iDelete plugins that were introduced in context of Tridion Docs 15.1, and if you're interested more, these plugins are covered in more extensive way as part of the dedicated 15.1 bootcamp. So there were a couple of business cases where customers would like to restrict delete action according to their business needs. I can name a few of them. For example, if item is published to dynamic delivery, hence it's on live portal, block a deletion. There were a couple of undelete requests where the user either delete an object that is was not referenced anywhere, or by mistake deleted the source language of the object. And a new iDelete plugins mechanism allows customers to adjust their implementation by adding their extra rule sets for delete action if they need. So as I said before, starting from Tridion Docs 15.1, iDelete plugins are supported on content objects, that is topics, maps, libraries, images, others, publication outputs, publications and publication versions, and baselines. To support iDelete plugins, there is a new, as shown on the screenshot, there is a new configuration entry in XML settings area with example configuration. Metrics feature has two out-of-the-box plugins that are responsible to keep in sync metric storage with Tridion Docs Content Manager. One is responsible to clean up document objects or their versions. Another responsible to clean up publications or their versions. In context of Tridion Docs 15.1 release, both were enabled out of the box, but they were not doing a synchronization. With update 1 release, this is not the case anymore. Another enabler is iWrite plugins that are already available as extension point in Tridion Docs. iWrite plugins fire an event when create or update action happens on the object, and you can process that event in your custom code. Plugins are supported for maps, modules, illustrations, templates, libraries, applications, projects, and annotations. Now, as part of Tridion Docs 15.1 release, we are adding a new object, which is baseline. So it is supported by iWrite metadata plugin. We are also introducing new plugin for baseline items, and the default configuration for plugins is used in metrics feature. iWrite plugins are responsible as well for keeping in sync metric storage and Tridion Docs Content Manager. There are a set of plugins for topic, illustration, publication output, and baseline. So the first one it's responsible, so it raises an event when the topic is changed. The second one in this list raises an event when the illustration is changed. The third one is raises an event when the publication is being updated or created. The fourth in the list raises an event when the output was successfully published. Last but not least, it is responsible to raise an event when the baseline is being updated. So in context of 15.1 release, all plugins were enabled out of the box, but they were not doing a synchronization. With update 1 release, this is not the case anymore. Nothing has changed in background task, but there are new ones that are used in the metrics feature. So there are two new background tasks: synchronize metrics that is responsible for updating the objects, and cleanup metrics that is responsible for deleting an object. Both of them keeping in sync metric storage in Tridion Docs Content Manager, and they're using events from respective iWrite and iDelete plugins. In context of Tridion Docs 15.1, both were enabled out of the box, but they were not doing synchronization. With update 1, this is not the case anymore. This is the summary table for reference that shows plugin support for different Tridion Docs object types. We did cover live updates as part of previous section. Now let's talk about the initial data synchronization that is required to have metrics feature fully functional. So let's talk about initial data synchronization. So there is a new script that is responsible for that. That is called synchronize metrics. So synchronize metrics PowerShell script allows you to perform the initial synchronization of the content manager database to metrics storage to be able to start using the metrics feature. The metrics feature requires the entire system to be synchronized to function correctly. Synchronized metrics iterates through the folder structure and filters illustrations, models, and publications. After that, it creates background tasks to synchronize data with metric storage. It's stored on the ishcd. It requires ishremote 8.1 that was released. It contains required changes for add ish background task commandlet that is used actually in the synchronized metrics script. Before running the script, you need to create a session with content manager server. So this is an example how you can see the options, how you can create the new session. Synchronized metrics. So this example on the screen, it should be used during initial data synchronization. So it iterates data folder structure recursively and creates background tasks that are synchronizing content manager storage with metrics storage. There are a couple of optional parameters that are available. So folder path. So folder path iterates a specific folder. You can synchronize data from a specific folder and its subfolders. You can use this example to resynchronize specific folders. Folder path parameters should not be used for initial migration, since migration script has a certain logic, as I mentioned before, that requires processing all the data in the system. There is also a parameter where you can specify, you can synchronize data from a specific folder types. Again, you can use this example only to resynchronize specific folder types. There are also options to use a transcript. So with transcript, logging will be enabled, and with a transcript option, you can use also optional parameter transcript file path. Then you can specify a custom file where you want to store your logging execution of the execution of the script. And there is also optional parameter what if. So what if provides a list of so it can be used useful for debugging purposes. It provides a list of folders that will be synchronized, including a number of objects to be synchronized. When what if specified, background tasks for synchronization are not created. What's important to mention that initial migration does not require maintenance window. So initial migration, in other words, initial migration doesn't block current system activities. Also, can be useful to mention that default configuration for metrics background task is set to 2 threads. We did cover different set of enablers for metrics feature. Now let's move to the feature details, and first let's understand what is new and what is reused. Let's understand what is new, what is reused, and what is by following this example on this slide. So let's imagine that we have 4 document objects, document 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's a timeline, as usually. At a certain point of time, we did create a publication A that is referencing document 1 and 2. They are used first time, they were not used before. As a result, both of them will get status new. Later, we have created publication B that is referencing document 1, 3, and 4. Since document 1 was used before in publication A, it will have status reused. Documents 3 and 4 are used first time, that as a result they will have status new. Later, we created publication C with a document, so we are referencing document 1 and 4. Since document 1 was used before in publication B and A, it will have status reused. Document 4 was used before in publication B, it will also have status reused. So in summary, we can say that a reuse is each additional publication that the topic appears in a simple words. This example also explains horizontal reuse. So a use case when reuse is happening across different publications. On the next example is a more complex one. Except horizontal reuse, there is also such type of reuse called vertical reuse. We're also able to handle vertical reuse, that is reuse in context of versions of the publication. To explain a bit more logic behind that, when you are creating a new publication version, that new version does not add a new value to your content, since it's the same content as a previous version. So everything that is inherited from previous version in our implementation is marked with a special internal status called disregard, and it's not taken into account during calculation process. But when you are adding new content to your publication version, this content is counted during reuse calculation. So let's take a look on the example. Again, we have document 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have publication A, version 1, that is referencing document 1 and 2, both never used before, so they both have status new. Later, we did create a new version of publication A, version 2. What we did, we removed document 2, added document 3, and did leave document 1. As a result, since document 1 was present in previous version of publication A, it will have a status disregard. Document 3 was not used before, it will have status new. We created later publication B that is having document 1, 3, and 4. Document 1 was used in publication A version 1. Document 3 was used in publication A version 2. As a result, both of them will have status reused. Document 4 is used first time. As a result, it will have status new. Later, we have created publication B version 2. What we did there, we just removed document 3. Since document 1 and 4 were used in previous version of publication B, they will both have status disregard. Later, we have created publication C, version 1, that is referencing document 1 and 4. Since document 1 was used before in publication B version 1 and publication A version 1, it will have status reused. Document 4 was used in publication B version 1. It will also have status reused. So this example explains the vertical reuse use case. So moving on, there is a community blog post that explains even further reuse formula for matrix feature. At the end, there is a task to test the knowledge of the principle that we shared. So for the people who voted for the right answer, I'm showing the right answer on the slide, as well as it also posted in the comments under the community post. Let's move on to the user experience. And first we will start with panel filters that is available on the left here, you can see. So as I said, there is a filtering panel with a period and the product filters. For period filters, you have a defined set of periods that is quarter, half a year, year, 5 years, and all the time. As part of each period, you have different aggregation units. For quarter, half a year, and a year, it will be a month. For 5 years, it will be a quarter. For all the time, it's a year aggregation period. Product filter gives you a possibility to zoom in data. For product filter, we are using values from fish MB metadata field on a publication logical level. Why we did choose that field? So first of all, it is used by Genius for navigation. Now it's also used by metrics. So this field will allow us to connect the dots between different product features. So the more customers will use that, the easier for us will be to connect the features. For example, a future use case for this specific fish MB product field and connecting Genius and metrics feature, we can show as part of the metrics feature such metrics as customer engagement, that can be a session duration or pages per session, or it can be a content value metrics that can be user ratings or comments, for example. So this fish MB product field is multi-value, so you can specify multiple values there. Taxonomy concepts can be used for that. This product field is not a mandatory. If product is not being set, customers can see a system-wide statistics. In case publication are not tagged with a product, a specific product, they can be filtered on the metrics tab with a separate category with a name product undefined. Additionally, the reason why product field was chosen is because it's the lowest common denominator, so customers can combine products into product families, departments, divisions. It's also valid to mention, but I will show you during the demo, that side panel filters as well as individual chart filters are preserved when you are switching between metrics tab and other tabs. So there are four. I wish we will have four. For now, it's 3 charts. So the first one on the top on the page is topic reuse chart. Shows you reuse level for selected period, highlighting amount of new content comparing to the one that was reused, and with the reuse level on top of the column. There is in context filtering option on reuse status, so you can filter new content or reuse content. Data on this chart helps to drive customers content reuse programs. as mentioned before, or as an example reference, you can take a look on reuse level for last quarter, where, for example, you did deliver a new product and see if you are happy with the reuse degree for that release, or you need to push further and improve it in the upcoming one. The next chart is coupled with content reuses and showing a return on an investment based on the current content reuse degree of the customer. So return on investment chart shows a value of using Tridion Docs for selected period, as I said, based on the customer reuse level, versus if the customer would need to create content from the scratch. It also shows a trend over a specified period to see how much you are saving with Tridion Docs. Chart indicates cost savings using the product and helps to justify budgeting. Publishing activity chart shows publishing activity for selected period, indicating status of published outputs. There are in context filters that are available. You can filter by status, that can be a draft, release candidate, or released, or by output formats that you did publish. Publishing activity is a measure of productivity because you can validate team efficiency on a delivery by seeing how many output formats they actually published. Let's take a look on the data that we'll be using during the demo, since there is a calculation process in place, and we did prepare a set of data that we can reference and explain. So first, let's start with topic reuse calculation. So there are a set of topics that represent knowledge about mobile phones. Of course, there is a timeline. So first, we did create a mobile phones basics publication that is referencing the history of mobile phones and the main components of mobile phones. These two topics are referenced first time. As a result, both of them will have status new. Later, we have created functions and capabilities of mobile phones. So this new publication is referencing 4 topics. The main components of mobile phones that is also used in the mobile phone basics, and 3 new topics: operating systems of mobile phones cameras, and wireless technologies. As I said, the first one in the list was used before, so it will have status reused. 3 others are new, they will have status new. And later on the timeline, we have created a new publication called Technical Characteristics and their comparison for mobile phones. There we are referencing 6 topics. First, the history of mobile phones. Second and third, about the main components of mobile phones and operating systems. They were used before. So as a result, they will have status reused. Mobile phones processors and mobile phone displays, they are used first time. As a result, they will have status new. And the last one, wireless technologies, was used in the functions and capabilities of mobile phones. So as a result, it will also have status reused. So as a summary, if you take a look on the data that is displayed here, we have 7 new topic references in total, 5 reused topic references. So overall, we have 12 topic references. So our reuse degree for this example is 5 divided to 12 is 42%. Let's take a look on the return on investment. So an explanation for that, the calculation process. So specifically, let's take a look on this formula. And as a first step, let's take a look on this part specific. So this part of the formula allows us, this formula we're using to calculate ROI for an aggregation unit. So when we are calculating cost without reuse, we are assuming that all topics are new. So there is no reuse at all. And cost for all should be calculated. When we are calculating cost with reuse, we are calculating cost only for new topic references and excluding reused one from the calculation process because they were paid already before. So as I said, the difference between these two gives you ROI for current aggregation period. And this formula allows you to calculate a cumulative trend line, where you are having the ROI for previous period, you're adding the ROI for current aggregated period. The same data, as I said, is used for ROI calculation, because ROI calculation is based on the current reuse degree of the customer. So new topics is 7, reused 5, all topics 12. So let's take a look on the calculation on the example. Just apply all the numbers that we have. When costs are calculated for both with reuse and without reuse, the same formula is used. So we are multiplying count of topic references on average salary per hour, average time per document object. As mentioned before, there is a configuration settings in XML settings area where you can specify values for average salary and average hours. So let's apply this on our example, that values that we have. So new topic references, we have 7, reused 5, all 12. So according to the formula, cost of content without reuse will be 3,840. Cost with reuse will be 2,240. So ROI for current aggregation unit will be the difference of these two numbers. So it will be 1,600. And cumulative ROI, since these publications are the first one that we did create for our set of products, we didn't have ROI for previous time intervals. So our cumulative ROI will be 0 plus 1,600. As a result, we will have cumulative ROI as 1,600. Now let's move to the demo. Let me share my screen. So let's let it reload first. So as mentioned before, there is a new metrics tab that can be, you can use a metrics management privilege to specify people for whom you would like to allow possibility to see the metrics data. So let's navigate there. So this is a default view and default filtering options. So as you can see, for period, the default option is 5 years. The reason why we did choose 5 years, as part of the user interviews, most of the customers say that they are interested in time interval for last year plus 1 quarter. 5 years time interval has has an aggregation unit as a quarter. So as a result, customer can see easily last year plus a quarter. This data is a demo data that we are showing here. For first chart, topic reuse, if you will hover over the periods, you will see amount of new content, amount of reused content, and the reuse degree for this aggregation unit. You can filter by new or reused topic references. Customers can switch to the all the time to see a bit more information and see entire history of the product usage. The next chart is return on investment, and before I will explain the chart, I will just remind you and navigate to the settings area, XML settings area. As I said, there is a new settings area for metrics where you can specify average time per document object and average salary per hour that is used during calculation of the chart. And yeah, as I mentioned before, as you can see, I did navigate back and my filtering settings are preserved. So ROI chart shows you it's a combo chart. As you can see, there are left axis and right axis. So left axis shows you the numbers for ROI for aggregated periods. So for example, for year 2020, ROI is 9 almost kind of a million. So you can correspond this number to the left axis, and right axis is used for, as usually in combo charts, it is used for a trend line. So this trend line and the values for the trend line, you can correspond with the right axis. Publishing activity, as mentioned, it shows you the publishing activity for configured output formats. You can filter by status. For example, let's filter by draft. And you can also filter by specific output formats. Yeah, let's, for example, see if we can get some interesting insights. So if you filter by CHM, we can see that CHM output format is still quite often used by this system. But if you, for example, take a look on PDF output format, we can see that the usage for that is decreasing. But if you also take a look on dynamic delivery output format, we can see that it's quite heavily used for last recent years, and means that the content is actively published to the live portals, that as a Genius, for example, as example of a live portal. Yeah, let's clear the filters. As mentioned before, product filter can be used to slice the data, so to zoom in the data. So for example, I can choose Tridion Docs and Tridion Sites products because they are supported by the one team. Apply the filter and see the values for both products that is supported by one team. So I can see the reuse degree for different years, and ROI and publishing activity. For example, I can filter out by release candidates. So moving on, I did prepare a set of demo data as mentioned during the slide presentation. So let's, I used a specific tag for each of these 3 publications. So that is called mobile phones for Bootcamp demo. So all of them have this product tag applied. So let's just open each publication one by one. It's also, I can show you a nice feature that is released as part of Tridion Docs 15.1 in organized space. So you can open your publication directly from organized space in the publication manager. So let's wait for publication manager to open the publication. So as you can see, my mobile phone basics has 2 topics. Let me open another 2. My technical characteristics and their comparison for mobile phones has 6 topics that are referenced. And let's open the last functional capabilities. So functional capabilities has 4 topics referenced. So the same content as was shown on the slide. So now we can go to the metrics feature. Select, for example, half a year. Select my demo product and see the value. So as you can see, as mentioned on the demo, so we already did the calculation so we are validating if calculation is correct. So we have total 12 topic references, 7 new, 5 reused, 42 is reuse degree. For ROI, our ROI for September 2024 is 1,600. Since we didn't have any publications, we didn't create publication for this product line before. Our cumulative ROI is the same as ROI for this aggregated period. I don't have release candidates, but I did publish my publication 6 times, and I can see that I did publish CHM 2 times, DITA 1, and XHTML 3 times. So with this, I would like to say thank you for attending our bootcamp for a metrics feature. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.